Hello and welcome to the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, we are almost done our Offseason Outlook series. We're getting through today. We're still sane.
Yes.
We haven't lost our mind yet. We haven't cracked. Well, we already have cracked, but we haven't cracked more. We're doing the AL Central, Dad, and probably the biggest offseason outlook is Cleveland. We've gone from the Indians to the Guardians. This is that transitional winter, that transitional year. So really, their losses were the Indians / Chief Wahoo as their mascot. We're moving, on from that. I don't know what the Guardians mascot will be called. I don't know if that was in the press release.
I think in the logo is that bridge.
No, usually how the mascot has a name like Clark the
Right.
Cobb.
Right.
I don't know the Guardians mascot name yet, but it could be fun. Could be a fun bobblehead.
Yeah.
They also lost Roberto Perez and two relievers, Brian Shaw and Whitgren. They traded a lot of people mid-season as well, but the Guardians have a lot of promise. There is this push in Cleveland, new name, still the same land. Let's go get new players, though, and contend. I don't know if contending like they were in 2016, but I think they should do better.
I agree. Again, they got some young players out of their trades. Tito hopefully will be back and in full health. So I think that they do have a little bit of future in them. So to move up the ladder a little bit in that division, I think they've kept some cornerstones. They had to make some tough decisions just the other day, and I think they cut 3 very good players. They needed room to bring their young guys up. So they have a good farm system. So a lot of folks left that were good players. So we'll see. I mean, it's a winnable division for anybody right now.
Yeah. I think my notes for Cleveland is could surprise. And I think that's pretty true. They need some depth, especially in the infield, second, first base especially. Corners, left and right. Miles Straw, that acquisition from Houston, turns out to be a really good center fielder, so I think he'll be with them for a while. They got a great pitching staff. They need a few more names in the bullpen, a few more players in the bullpen. They'll be linked to a few names this offseason. I don't know how many big names.
Right. We'll see what their payroll is.
Right. But filling in some holes, Cleveland will be active. Not at the Carlos Correa, Trevor Story level, but they will be signing some names. There'll be some names to get excited about in Cleveland, I think, in 2022.
Yeah, you wish them the best going forward. They had a tough year, so I'm thinking for the most part, you wish them well. But I think there's other teams in that division that are gonna really push for it, and I think it's gonna be a tough division.
Yeah.
There's 2 teams that I think will be vastly improved.
Yeah, actually, I think almost all teams will be improved in that whole division. We'll get into it. Let's talk about the returning champ of that division, the Chicago White Sox. Dominated the division, and obviously didn't do that well in the playoffs because they really didn't face any competition all year. They lost to good teams when they played them.
Yeah, pitching fell apart. They got beat handily by a couple teams, and they scored a lot of runs against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that tells you something about their pitching.
The White Sox still have, when they're healthy and all their offense, they're a juggernaut. I still think offensively they're the best team in that division by far. It's just when it comes to staying healthy is big because they have a lot of big hitters.
Correct.
I mean, keeping Eloy healthy, keeping Eloy Robert healthy.
Right.
I'm not Eloy Robert, Luis Robert.
Yep.
Healthy. I think that's extremely important.
I agree. Pitching staff's got to stay healthy. They got lots of closers.
They do. Just signed Graveman.
Yeah.
They should trade Kimbrel. Hendricks, I think, is more of a closer. Their biggest needs is second baseman. Nick Madrigal obviously got traded to the Cubs.
Oh, a star in the future.
So that's the biggest hole.
That turned out to be a nice trade for the Cubs.
Yeah. They also lost Carlos Rodon to free agency. I don't think he'll re-sign.
No.
I think Kopech will move into the starter role. Ryan Tepera, great reliever. Big loss there. Who knows what that Yerman Mercedes is doing? He had a star-studded year, and now I think he's done with baseball.
Yeah, which is weird.
Very weird.
Yeah, their health suffered mid-season. They never really recovered stuff. Luis Roberts, very good player, by the way.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think the lack of competition came and haunt them. And it's the first time they were in the playoffs, so maybe the stage was too big.
Yeah. I wrote that some of their needs were better competition, which I think will happen in the Central next year. More experience in bigger games because they kind of got rocked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that experience will really help them. I still think Chicago comes out on top at the end of 2022 in this division. But yeah, I think adding a second baseman might be all their needs, all their big needs to happen. I have the name, but I'll tell you that in the top 50 free agents. And I think it's, let's just say the White Sox follow the Red Sox mindset in 2022. But yeah, I think the White Sox will still be on top of that division at the year's end. Maybe less wins, but better competition and better experience.
I think they're going to get pushed this year, and we'll see if the offseason holds true in my mindset about these two teams I have in my mind. I think they'll be just right at their heels.
Yeah. Let's go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota was a big disappointment this year.
Yeah.
Traded away a good amount of players, especially Barrios. I don't think they're in a full rebuild, and I'm very excited to hopefully see those words come to action this offseason. One of their big up-and-coming shortstops, the reason they got Simmons for a year, was Royce Lewis. He was injured, hopefully coming back to full health. That would be a great shortstop. He's supposed to be the shortstop of the future. Mm-hmm. I know no one likes playing with Josh Donaldson, but he's on that team. Trading away Nelson Cruz meant a DH opening, so hopefully they figure out either, hey, is Miguel Sanyo going to be a DH, and let's go get a first baseman. But they really need pitching. Kenta Maeda, I don't think, is an ace, so I think they need some big names, or at least talented up-and-coming names, to help out with the starters. Your thoughts?
The trade they did with Barrios was fantastic. When they rated the players who came back, they got 2 of the top 5 players in that trade. They should be able to plug those guys in. The future looks good for Minnesota. I don't know what they have for next year. Can they make that big leap? I mean, a lot of people predicted them at the head of the division this year. They got off to a horrible start.
Yeah.
And when you got off a horrible start, they never could get out of that hole. Mm-hmm. Then they got some injuries, and then they traded at deadline. Mm-hmm. So they do have a long ways to go. I think there's going to have more trades than free agent acquisitions, but they'll slowly go up. I think it's going to be interesting to see who goes 1 through 5 there.
Mm-hmm. My note also on the Twins was need to pick a direction, very similar to the Reds, where, hey, if you're going to rebuild, do it. Trade Buxton, trade Sanyo, trade Maeda, trade Rogers, and restart. Or build the team around those guys.
Invest.
Right. Which I think is what they should do. I have a little hint. I think Sanyo will be the DH. I think they're going to get a first baseman name. And maybe they'll re-sign Pineda. I know he was a loss. I don't think they will. I think they'll get 2 other free agent names out there this offseason. And again, contend. I don't see Minnesota go into the playoffs, but I think they'll win more games in 2022 than 2021.
They have a real good fan base, so they got to appeal to the fan base, and they have the money to make some acquisitions.
Yeah.
Do it.
Let's go to Detroit.
I love Detroit.
Detroit is poised for, I think, some of the biggest splashes of the offseason. They were the first to sign a big-name free agent with Eduardo Rodriguez, who I think almost instantly becomes their 1 or 2 guy. Casey Mize, Boyd, and Skubal are...
Mize is very good.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the ace, and Erod is too. They still need another pitcher, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They need a shortstop. Obviously, they're linked to some big names, especially with the A.J. Hinch connection.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that makes a lot of sense to me. Scope is officially a first baseman. Cabrera's obviously...
He had a good year.
He had a good year.
Yeah.
He's DHing. Robbie Grossman had a good year. That not non-tender. The Rule 5, Akil Badu had a really good year in the outfield. They have some pieces. I mean, they won a lot of games last year with no real expected talent, not a big payroll, and now we get to add money into it.
They added they had a real good second half, and all of a sudden they started going up in the standings, and you're like, hey, you see the confidence building. You can see them, coming around, and they made a trade with the Cubs that added a couple of players. So they've made some good trades along the way, and now you can see it all come together. A lot of their players are 25 to 32. Yep. Yeah, I can see this coming together.
Yeah, great trade for Tucker Barnhart. I mean, that no one's talking about that really.
Yeah, great backup. I mean, great backstop, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the difference maker in the clubhouse.
No, but defensively.
No, I'm moving on. I think not Barnhart. I'm talking about a new guy, but Barnhart's great defensively. Yeah, I think he brings it. But there's a guy in their bullpen named Funkhauser, and I'm just saying. I mean, Detroit's Motown, and you got Funkhauser on the mound.
You can see him coming.
There's something kind of fun there, and again, I think personalities.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of funky.
Yeah, he throws the funky junk. But I think there's some personality with Detroit that could be really fun to watch this year.
Yeah. And Detroit could use a little positiveness.
Yeah. I think AJ Hinch wants a repeat like Alex Cora had with Boston this year to prove that, like, hey, I don't need to cheat to win. I'm really a good manager. So you put that, you put some openings at shortstop. Detroit has an ability to really contend.
Yeah.
Be well over 500 at the season's end, in my opinion.
Yeah, sniffing at the playoffs.
I agree. Not next year either, in my opinion, but developing. Kansas City is the fifth and final team in that division, but will not finish fifth in the standings.
No.
I think there's some severe upgrades that Kansas City is willing to do. I think they have a lot of money available. Bobby Witt, again, will be rivaling Adley Rutschman for Rookie of the Year.
I think right now he would be. I think, he has so much potential. Yeah. We saw him as an 18-year-old in Washington. He may be one of these guys who carries a club. He's in, a lot of people say he's like Jeter-esque, and with his offense and defense, he's a star.
Yeah. And
I think that's gonna have that team look a lot better next year.
Yeah. They probably need some better pitchers. I think that's probably where they spend a lot of their money. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big either DH or right field pickup. Shout out for them not trading at the deadline, trading away Benintendi and Taylor, because now they'd be your Gold Glovers in your outfield. You had Whit Merrifield out there. I mean, it's a pretty good outfield. Yeah.
He made some smart moves last offseason.
We haven't talked about Sally Perez yet, who's clearly the best hitter on that entire team.
Yeah.
Behind the plate.
A catcher hitting 40 home runs.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, the best offensive catcher in baseball. Yeah. I'll wait on your number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest upgrades will be, everyone's going to talk about upgrading bullpen, but I think there'll be some money thrown at the starting rotation for the Royals in this offseason. Yeah.
Think about come trade deadline, these two teams being on the cusp, what they can do, trading out of their farm system to get better.
And it really will depend on who gets injured, where the holes, get created during the season, if you will. I see the Royals. That fan base has only been without a championship for 6-7 years. I think they're all right. We did enough time in the basement. Let's contend again.
They're another one that tanked to build back up.
Yeah,
and you can see it coming around. Yeah. I mean, they tanked and got Bobby Witt. Not bad.
Yeah, I don't know if I still think the White Sox win this division, and I don't know if any of the Guardians, Twins, Tigers, or Royals make a wild card spot. We'll see, but I can see 2023 being the White Sox's problem year. Where 2022 might be their last big year to get like a ring or be in a World Series, because then I can see the Tigers, all that youthful pitching clicking, the Royals really playing well together, one of Sally's last years maybe, the Twins maybe getting it together. So this becomes last year one of the worst divisions in baseball, if not the worst, to one of the best ones in only a 2 or 3 year time span.
I can see 4 of these teams being above 500 next year.
I could see. It could be weird, but I could see almost all of them being above 500. Where like 4 or 5 games above 500 could be the playoff team.
The winner has 85 wins.
Yeah, Braves or even less. Yeah, that's the AL Central. Probably one of the biggest question marks. I could not order the 5. I would right now looking at a year ahead of time. Any of those 5, I don't think it'll be like this behind us, where it's White Sox, Cleveland, Tigers, Royals, Twins. I doubt that repeats itself. But who knows what happens in 2022? It's really gonna be fun to watch.
2, 3, 4 are up for grabs.
I think you think Twins are at the bottom, but I think anyone can finish 5, and people could threaten the White Sox. They need a couple injuries, and Royals come knocking, Tigers come knocking.
Yeah, their manager might have a stroke.
You never know, or get caught drunk driving again.
That's right.
But yeah, that's the Central. Comment below if your thoughts are different, or you expect other things of your team to do something else in the offseason. But be on the lookout. We're really going to talk a lot about Central teams picking up. I think all of them will be active in free agency, picking up either a certain piece or 2 or 3 pieces. So definitely tune into that. That'll be coming in the coming days. A lot to upload. We're recording all this today in one day. We're losing our minds slowly. We have one last AL West offseason outlook to do. But yeah, Dad, anything to finish?
No, I think it's going to be a fun division, something to keep an eye on during the summer. I'm excited to see how they progress, and then as they get to midseason, what direction a lot of them go. I think this could be the most competitive division of any team in American League.
I would say most even. Division, most competitive, most even. Excited to see what happens, and really excited to see what happens at the trade deadline. because that could be the difference maker, just like it was for Atlanta in 2021.
Make sure you take July 31st off.
Or whatever the trade deadline is. It was 30th last year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, and enjoy the AL West as we conclude our offseason outlook series.
See ya.